not going to subject you to another terrible in-car with awful audio. So instead, we've just arrived at Zwartkops Raceway and it is Friday morning. This is now official practice. So we're going to have 3 sessions today and we're just taking a walk down. We have 2 of the hangars, the garages here, and we're based on the one over here, and then the GR Yaris on this side. So both of these are GR, this one and this one. Some of the guys from Fast Developments are busy going through the cars and checking them out, so let's flip things around and show you here. Alright, here we go. Here's the hangar, and of course we're right in the back. So let's go take a quick squiz there. Here we go. There's the new machine, and yes, the brakes are on. So completely different car. Not only that, we are sans passenger seat, so a little bit of weight reduction there. Alright, I'm checking fuel levels and whatnot. That's why the vehicle's on. I've just dumped in a whole bunch of fuel, and that hopefully should be the fuel for the day. So there we go. It's the office for the day. I'm going to have a whole hospitality suite and a place where we can sort of reconvene over there. But it is early. It's sort of 7:20, and the vehicles are streaming in. The guys are going through scrutineering, all kinds, all manners. Some of the historics over here. And Polo Cup are in the main pits. They've of course got a massive field, so there's at least a little bit of blue sky, because the forecast is for rain, and on the semi-slicks it's rather entertaining. But let's see how today goes. Alright, didn't show you that process, but we've just been to documentation. We've got our passes and the likes. The cars get a little sticker on them, and then transponders. So Chopper and the guys are busy arranging that. They're putting the transponders on so that we'll have a bit of timing and we'll be able to check it. So Speed Hive is one of the apps that you can use when there is a race. If you do go or download the app and you go and you take a look for the Extreme Festival or Extreme Series, regional events, you'll be able to follow us and you'll be able to see who places where long before this video comes out. So maybe not a bad idea. I mean, I'll try and keep you up to date, but hey, I'm going to be busy racing.
You're going to pre-grid. Everybody knows pre-grid. You've got the set of tires. It must keep you the whole weekend. Yeah, almost the whole year.
With driver's briefing done and out of the way, we now prepare for our first practice session. Now, there's no real pressure, but I do want to make the most of my time behind the wheel. Managed to crack into the 115s, which is fantastic. I really knew that the car was capable of doing this. This is now the first time on these new brakes, and I tell you what, they feel absolutely amazing. So we're halfway, sort of just past the halfway mark for first day's practice. The only day's practice. We get 3 sessions in the day. First one was at 9 o'clock. Second one was just after 12, and then we've got another one that's going to be happening at just after 3. First session went surprisingly well, and I was sort of 3rd fastest of the class, which are the GRs, GR86s. GR Yaris is of course a little bit quicker, but I was pretty happy with that time. It really was good. Second session went out, and now I'm trying to take learnings, and that one was just like a full second slower. So I'm really a little bamboozled by that. And scratching the head, but I think I was overdriving the car. So I think the best thing for me to do is just calm down, go out there and just do what I know, drive the car smooth, tidy, not get too carried away and not get too wound up with chasing times. I think I need to work on consistency. So we've got another 2 hours until we need to be back in the cars. So we're going to analyze a couple of the race laps, some of the telemetry. We use the Garmin Catalyst. The Garmin Catalyst does give us some indication of areas where we can improve and what an optimal lap will be. And now in the second session, there's a big jump between my actual best and my theoretical best, or my optimal lap. And that shows me that I was just messing up a lap no matter where I went. So somewhere along the line I was messing up a lap. I'd get 3-4 corners right and then pooch it on another one. So I need to just dial that in and just be a little more consistent, but not overdrive the car. There is such a thing as overdriving it, braking far too late, turning in too hard, inducing understeer. I need to be smooth and fluid. So now it's lunch, and what I've realized is that there's a lot of hurry up and wait. Don't interrupt the man while he's eating. I always catch you at these inopportune times. FaceTime,
the worst
eating,
possible
all the worst
times. But yeah, loading up.
Getting
Not good for lap times, but
well, in case you haven't noticed, they removed our passenger seats, so we're already, there's a little bit of weight saving there, so you can compensate for that.
hopefully I can do some weight reduction just for the next session.
Yeah. Ruben's out here. Ruben, we've incorrectly said that you are driving for Wheels 24 this year, but you've decided you're going to do it for another entity. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so we've got jumping kids on the side of the car, although we'll be creating content for Wheels 24, but use the opportunity to create awareness for a charity that it helps underprivileged children get prosthetics and puts them in normal schools so they can live a normal life and go on to do any career that they want, whether it's a pilot, a racing car driver, or any job they want, a plumber. But they shouldn't be limited by the lack of equipment to their career choice.
With 2 practice sessions under the belt, we now head out for our 3rd practice session. Only difference is it's raining, and semi-slicks do not like wet weather. They don't like a wet track, so this should be entertaining. Concludes the session. So you would have only seen me getting ready. You didn't see me actually driving because we filled up a whole memory card today. I'll probably work on smaller file sizes for you guys. Very, very wet session. Very wet by my standards. Very slick out there. Times only about 1:31s, and that's how far it dropped. Still the first majority of the laps. You're sitting there and you're trying to figure out where the limitations of the tires are, which you tend to find out pretty quickly. You figure out what works in terms of braking, and of course a wet line is rather different to a dry racing line unless a dry line is developing, which happened in some of the faster corners, which is strange, but then some of the slower stuff was really slick and slippery. So we got crossed up, most of us got out of shape at some point in time, and unfortunately it looks like tomorrow is going to be a wet race, or at least wet qualifying. So I'm glad that we had this final session, but yeah, confidence maybe not as high as it possibly could be, but let's see how we go tomorrow. We'd say bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, but I think that would be a little amiss. I pretty much just passed out last night after practice, but not before going through some of the Garmin telemetry and my lap times and just trying to wrap my head around what transpired yesterday. Confidence levels today, mixed bag. I think I can still go in there and be, sadly, positively middle order. I don't think there's a chance for me to be right up near the top. Tom is just far too quick. When Dennis joins the fray again, I think then we may change things around a little bit. But we headed out to the track. It's going to be a qualifying session and then 2 10-lap heats. There's a little bit of cloud cover and a little bit of rain predicted, so I'm glad we got that wet weather practice, but we're going to have to see how things go. I just need to stay calm, cool, collected, and and not get in my own head. So let's tackle this. First race of the season. Let's do it. So the track's a hive of activity already. It's only, well, just after 8. We're going out just after 9 for our qualifying. We get a 15-minute session to try and post the fastest lap time. We will be placed behind the GR Yaris's, but we're qualifying in and amongst ourselves with the 86s. So I'm hoping that I can piece together a nice, really strong qualifier and just have a decent position on the track. It's going to be a rolling start, and it's going to be a bit of a challenge. We're going to have to keep our picks together and get through the first couple of corners nice and clean, and then defend. That's happening a little later on, 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock, 2 race heats of 10 laps apiece, but first qualifying. So yeah, let's warm up the car and get things ready to rock and roll. Qualifying didn't go too bad. I managed to improve my times a little bit, but yeah, everybody else just improved that much more. So starting out 5th on the grid. Let's see if I can maintain position, hopefully even pick up a position.
So as I said, we're moving on to the next part of the day's proceedings. It's the SA Goes Racing GR Cup, and there are now Toyota 86s involved in this one. We're going to catch up with a couple of the new drivers in those Toyota 86s coming from our media team. Let's go and find out exactly what this new part of Goes Racing Cup is all about.
So next up is the GR86 Cup, which is brand new to South Africa, from what I can gather. And you guys, I've watched you out there in practice, going pretty well. They look really nice out there. Ruben, your car, same as all the others, I presume. Just tell us all about that.
Yeah, so the race car is based on the new GR86 that was launched late last year. And yeah, all the cars exactly the same, minimal modifications, and really a proper one-make series.
And they look pretty good out there. Chad, what do they like to drive?
The regular road-going GR86 is a very exciting car, and it really does hark back to the history of the Corolla 86, which was very popular in the 80s and still has a cult-like following in terms of racing. And this is just a continuation of that. It's a little bit quicker, a little bit tighter, and the way that these ones have been modified, just dials it up to 11.
Take nothing away from, as you heard there, Tariq Adam. First time out for him, coming out of the sim racing world. It's nice to see that little link is starting to come into play as well. The opportunity being given by Goes Racing. I know Bucket List Racing are involved in this as well in terms of what they've been trying to do to bring youngsters through. Running on the standard power that you'd be able to get off the showroom floor. They've given them a little bit extra maneuverability there. Someone's got off there completely. That's the 76 car. And that's Ruben van Niekerk. Long out of turn 2, back onto the inside. He'll now drop to the back of the pack behind Chad Luckhoff. So it's Falconer from Mashigo, staying in fourth, Jones, van Niekerk, and it'll now be Luckhoff from van Niekerk. Piloting his wears and tears in. Interesting stuff though from Chad. He's saying that his 86s are running that auto box with the paddle shift, but they're not able to gear down on some of the corners that they'd like.
Managed to bring the car home in one piece, but not the results I was looking for. I was actually very far down. My first time going door to door. I'm sort of kicking my own butt. I'm a little disappointed in myself. My times really weren't there. I think I was possibly overdriving the car and just feeling the pressure of this first time now actually having to go out and drive and be competitive. The car was great, but me, I let it down. I did leave the aircon on, but I can't blame that. These aircons drag hardly any power from the motor. So yeah, that was all just me. It was the idiot behind the wheel. It was I was overthinking it. I was driving the car too hard and maybe also not driving the car hard enough. My eclectic lap or my optimal lap, there's a big difference between my actual lap and my optimal lap, which shows me that I was just super inconsistent and just making little errors, and all those little errors start adding up. I'm hoping that the second session, the second heat, can be better, but if not, hey, nothing ventured, nothing gained. I'm still having an absolute whale of a time, and I mustn't get so bogged down with all of this pressure and performance anxiety. It's my first time doing this. I'll get better as the year goes on, I'm sure. I hope. It's Murphy's Law. The final session of the day, and the GoPro conks out, and the Garmin doesn't record any footage. So I'm just going to have to rely on some of the live stream footage.
Start the 86 league with Thomas Falconer getting the drop there, trying to hang on ahead of Chaba Motsigo and Brandon Staniforth. Through there in the 7.5 car will be Ruben van Niekerk. Much better start this time out from Rubes as he heads down towards turn 2. Gonna dive on the inside and get through there on Shachaba, but looks like there's some work to be done as he's got both Staniforth and Mashaba ahead of him. And look at that, massive amounts of pressure being put on from Ruben van Niekerk's point of view onto the back end of Mark Jones. No, they certainly are feeling a little bit more racy in race number 2. Now it's second place, pulling away slightly there for the 777 of Mashigo, leaving Mark Jones and Brendan Staniforth in his wake at this point. Incredible drive out of that man in the number 12 times live Toyota 86. In the 86 league, he will win out comfortably over Sechaba Mashigo, who's down onto the brakes into GNH Transport Corner for his last run there. So that wraps up our race action from the Toyota's point of view, and the SA Gazoo Racing GR Cup. How's this? There they come to the line. Lovely. Jonesy and Staniforth almost wing mirror to wing mirror, but Mark Jones hangs on to beat out Brandon Staniforth. Chad Luckhoff coming through there in the closing stages, also right onto the tailpiece there of Jones and Staniforth, nearly spoiling their day from the AutoTrader man. Good effort there from him, and Ruben van Niekerk going to come through there to finish up in 12th.
that wraps up, and you can judge by this that second heat went so much better than the first. So unfortunately, I was bumped to the back of the grid for the start because it was based on our times rather than our positions. Ruben, of course, had a spin in the first heat, which put me into 5th. Fell down 1 position from 4th, but it happens. Didn't have a good first heat. What did happen then was my time suffered and I got put right at the back. Ruben and myself got into a little bit of a tussle. I tried to dive him once into 2, and then again I managed to make it stick going through 2, and then I managed to get onto Brendan and Mark. Now unfortunately I don't have footage of this. Typical, I always miss all the great footage, but hey, these things happen. There are going to be more races. You're just going to have to trust me on this. But it went considerably better, to the point where I managed to catch them and even take a little bit of a dive in the final corner of the race, just so that I could, well, try and gain another position on Mark. That didn't work, but I finished out 5th of 6, 5 out of 6, and hi, not Mom. Bad. Say hi to Tommy.
Hi, Mom.
So he's here supporting Sachaba, who had a blinder of a race, dude. I mean, yeah, second in both heats.
He was quick, eh?
The man has, I don't know what he ate this morning, because he just switched it on and he hasn't switched it off.
Watch him in Kelani.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be... No, don't scare me like that, man. No, who does that?
Encouragement.
Yeah, oh, is it? Oh, okay. I may not have performed as well as what I would have liked, but I still had an amazing time. So I can't thank Toyota enough for the opportunity. The best bit is that there's more than one opportunity. This is the first round on the first race, and now that that's out of the way, I can cast my attention to the second round, which is taking place at Killarney in Cape Town, a track which I haven't driven before, and that's happening on the 18th of March. So really excited about that one.
Search AutoTrader.